picked up my hire car from Brisbane Airport and I'm heading south through New South Wales on a 3,000 kilometre road trip. I'm going to head down the coast and then head inland, round through Mudgee and on the west of the Great Divide, then back through the back of Sydney to Wollongong, then across through Canberra, down to Albury and then down to the far south coast. So I'm going to visit some old historic sites, do a bit of metal detecting. There's a couple of spots I know about from my childhood days in Newcastle I want to check out. And we'll have a look at some of the historic sites down around this way, so it should be a lot of fun over the next 2 weeks. Thanks for joining me. Okay, I'm heading down the Pacific Highway now on the north coast of New South Wales. I just crossed the Richmond River, the big old rivers that were historic links to the inland because that was the main way of trade to get inland. One of the little towns back there is a lovely old abandoned church with a ruined house next to it. That's the kind of a target of opportunity I'll be looking for, but of course you have to establish ownership and get permission to go to those places. But as I go further south through New South Wales, the Australian history gets older, starting in 1788 in Sydney. So this is a lot older, this area, than North Queensland where I come from. So I'm really looking forward to getting into some old spots down here. We'll see what we can find on the side of the road. If we can get permission, we'll do a bit of metal detecting. There's some lovely old historical sites we'll have a look at and a bit of scenery too. So I'm really looking forward to this. I've got about an hour to go before I get to Grafton for tonight, so we'll just cruise along the highway here. It's just beautiful out here this afternoon, clear blue sky, lovely weather. We're now about 100 kilometres from my hometown of Newcastle. We're heading down there, be there in an hour or so. And there's a spot down there I'm going to go metal detecting on this afternoon that I've known about all my life basically, but I've never been able to get in there with a metal detector because I moved away. So I'm going to spend hopefully 3 or 4 hours in there this afternoon. We'll be down there shortly. I'll tell you all about the site.
Onto Pacific Highway.
Well, this is another piece of local history. This is now a bike path, and why it's so flat is it used to be a tramway, not a railway line, it was a tram line. And the steam trams used to run along this line from Newcastle out to Wall's End. Now, there's some personal history involved here because my great-grandfather used to drive these steam trams through. He was a tram driver in the early 1900s, so he would have been up and down this route many, many times. But of course the steam trams eventually were replaced by electric traction, and then the trams went into history, and there's no more trams in Newcastle now. So it's a nice old bit of history in the bush. It's now a bike track, and unfortunately there's no signs to say what it actually is. Today I'm a long way from home. I'm back in my hometown in New South Wales, and the reason I'm here in this bushland setting is up in the bush here to our left was an old two-up school that existed from the Depression era, and it went right through the 1960s. I know that because my grandfather and I used to walk through here on bushwalks, and a couple of times he said to me when I was just a little tacker, he pointed down a certain track and he said, "Don't go down in there, that's where the men go gambling and playing two-up in the afternoon." So he warned me off this area, and I thought about that for a very long time, and this is the first chance I've had to come back with a metal detector. Now, I don't know if this place is well known in the local detecting community. It may have been detected, I don't know. But all through this area too in the Depression was a site called Hollywood. It was called Hollywood because it was just all Hessian bags and corrugated iron. Very poor, homeless people, you know, no jobs in the Depression, and living a subsistence life out here in the bush, basically, on the fringes of society. I'm not suggesting they'd have much money either, but it'd just be nice if I can just find one old relic in here that connected me with that Hollywood and that story that my grandfather told me, and maybe a coin from the 2-Up school. That's not so, I'm not so optimistic about that. I don't want to put the kibosh on myself straight up, but I'm pretty sure I can find some remnants from Hollywood. There's got to be something in here from the 1930s up in this bush. It's quite a large area. It's just a beautiful setting. As you can see, it's all bracken fern and it's quite open forest. There's some thick spots, but you can get around in it. So come for a little wander with me. We might find a couple of relics from the Depression era and the little bag town known as Hollywood. Well, there's my first evidence of habitation. It's an old enamel mug. That is quite an old mug. Maybe the boys were having a cup of tea while they were playing 2-Up. But I think beer would be more likely on the menu. Well, here's my first target. It was a very high tone 76. It's an old bottle top, crown seal top, I think. That mightn't be a bad clue. I've seen a couple of bricks in here too, actually. There was no building as such, but there could have been people living in here in the Depression times. I'm pretty sure I may have found the old 2-Up school. You can see a lot of glass here, old glass scatters all through this grass. And from my vague memory of long ago, this looks like the clearing where the 2-Up school used to be. It was just a dirt track then, and still a bit of dirt here now, but it's fairly overgrown. I've just got this item. Let's get the camera to focus on it. It's a, I think it's a watch part. It's quite shallow. It's brass or bronze, a very high signal. Okay, let's see if we can get some coins out of this place. Well, there's some lovely old historic relics out in the bush. An old whiskey jar maybe. It says something about caution. Anyone damaging willfully or trading with or appropriating the use of this jar will be prosecuted. Sharp Brothers, trademark registered. Purses damaging. This Sharp Brothers are a bit rough. But anyway, look, there's old bits of bottle here. Old pieces of ceramic. This could have been where the settlement was. And look at this old vase base. Look at that. It's the ceramic off that vase. I'd say there's been a bit of a shack or a shanty in here. No evidence of anything. There's occasional bricks here and there. We'll have a look around in here. I couldn't say I've confidently found any 2-Up school because I haven't found a single coin yet, but I'm pretty sure this is part of the old settlement that was known as Hollywood during the Depression. People were pretty much homeless and they lived out here in the bush in little shanties, so there would have been Hessian bag and corrugated iron. But here's an interesting old site of habitation over here. They've had a big feast of oysters. They must have gone into town, got a heap of oysters, and look at this. Someone's had a big, and we're quite a distance from the sea, several miles, so this has all been bought here, and someone's had a big feed here, long ago. Well, I'm pretty confident I found Hollywood. Look at this old, beautiful old relic. It's an escutcheon, off a bit of furniture, I'd say, with a little, little knocker. I'm not really sure what the function of that is, unless it's a tiny little hobbit's doorbell knocker. That's a lovely piece of brass. I'll see if there's a maker's name on it, but that's a nice old relic. That was only quite shallow, and it wasn't far from that little oyster bed there. Well, I still haven't found my 2-Up school. I'm pretty sure I'm in Hollywood though. Look at this. I just found the barrel of a toy pistol. What a beauty. She's all ornately moulded. Actually, it might be part of a rifle. It's quite large, isn't it? A toy rifle, maybe. What a beauty. I'm pretty sure this would have been an old shanty town in here. That's a real early 1900s toy. This just shows you how mineralised this soil is here. Newcastle's a coal mining area, so it's renowned for its sedimentary sort of deposits, but have a look at this. This highly magnetised gravel I'm getting on my pick, on the rare earth magnet on the retriever. AT Pro's having no trouble with the soil though, it's great. There's my next relic. It's a tobacco tin lid. It's only a shallow dig. You can see the little hinge on there. That would definitely date from, you know, up till the 1950s probably. Nice one. Well, here in the fading light I've found some real tangible remains of Hollywood. It looks like the remnants of at least a brick fireplace, certainly not a chimney, but second-hand bricks that have been salvaged. They're actually stamped, some of them, but I can't read URT something on it. I'd say this is a little campfire or something in a shanty. Little collection of bricks like this. It's the first time I've found it. I've found scattered bricks, but not any together like this, so I'll have a look around here with the detector. Well, I've definitely stumbled across some more substantial remains of Hollywood. Half an old concrete laundry tub, lots of enamel pots and pans, some aluminium. There's the rest of the laundry tub. Bits of maybe a bed down there, and iron. This has been a house in the Depression era. There's an enamel mug down in there I can see. The relics I'm digging up are from that era. I'm getting old tobacco tin lids like I showed you. I've got a couple of other tin lids. Lots of lead, that people used lead for everything in those days. And here's some fairly substantial remains. Yeah, lots of enamel baking ware. Tins, pots and cups. Nice one. Well, the boys in here, the children, were well catered for with the toys. I've just dug the remnants of a really historic old gun here. I first got this percussion hammer. That was the first piece, with the tantalising 2 letters IE on it, maybe Aussie. And this is the rest of the gun in the pieces that I've been able to recover. Very shallow, all broken up like this. I didn't break this up, it was all in pieces. There's the barrel. Oh look, it's got a, wait a minute, we've got a name on here. What's that say? You might be able to read that, I can't. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little trip to Hollywood there. A few of those relics definitely dated from the 1930s, particularly that scutcheon with the knocker on it, the beautiful old cap guns, and evidence of Hollywood being there with the old brick scatters and the old concrete laundry tubs. So today I've left Newcastle. I'm heading over the Great Dividing Range onto the western slopes of New South Wales with a few other sites I'm going to have a look at and maybe get a bit of detecting done over that way. So let's get going. I'm just passing through an area of New South Wales now that was settled in the early 1820s. And Newcastle itself was settled in 1797, so very old part of colonial Australia. Brilliant history around this area. Well, as a bit of a railway buff, I've just pulled over to have a look at this old abandoned railway station in the Upper Hunter. I've been following this old line for a couple of 100 kilometres now. So I pulled into the station to have a bit of a look, and it's great to see these little country townships are preserving these places. They're not vandalised, they're painted and they're kept in good condition, maybe in the hope that one day the trains will return. But I was just standing here taking a couple of photographs and looked across on this old, the rotting platform fascia. Oh, look at this fella, sunbaking here. He's enjoying the spring sunshine. There you go, mate. He's got a good spot there. Nice and warm. Not too bothered by me either. Yeah, I love these old, it's amazing, these old railway stations. This infrastructure was built over 100 years ago. All the time and the money and the physical effort in the building this kind of thing, and it was a vast network of railways. And this isn't unique to Australia, of course. Branch lines are abandoned all around the world, but times moved on and railways lost their relevance, I guess. But beautiful old spot, fantastic bit of engineering, this line right up through the Upper Hunter Valley into the Great Dividing Range. Okay, he's getting a bit aggro now. He's not happy that I've disturbed his little afternoon nap, so I'll move on. You're right, mate. I'm not going to hurt you. Here's the magnificent railway station at Mudgee on the western slopes of New South Wales. As you can see, it's been built in 1884. Still in glorious condition after well over 100 years. But the sad part's around the front, where the trains used to come. Unfortunately, like many of these New South Wales branch lines, very important to rural communities, right up until after the Second World War, and then the branch railway started to close in the 70s, and this is the result. Look, it's still in magnificent condition, well maintained. And there's the main railway line back to Sydney. Would have been a very busy place in its heyday, you can imagine. Refreshment rooms down there, you can see there's a refreshment room sign. Waiting rooms, and real centre of activity for the town. But, I mean, the best thing is it hasn't been demolished, it's still here. And actually the rail infrastructure is all still here, which is really good. Here's the main platform area, a very quaint reminder of Victorian times. The ladies' waiting room, station master, and there's the refreshment rooms where they would have served tea and scones and hot railway pies. We're now up at an elevation of over 1100 metres in the Great Dividing Range in New South Wales. I'm just going down into the bush here to have a look at a little historic spot that's very interesting. Well, here's the spot. It's known as the Wishing Well. It was initially dug in 1848. It's a natural spring out of the sandstone rock. It was enlarged in 1879 with the caveat to provide water for man and beast. Now, in 1939, the sandstone arch was placed over the top to protect any debris going in there. But as you can see, it's the bottom's just littered with coins. The people have been making a wish. But look how beautifully clear that spring water is. It's just lovely, bubbling out of the mountain all year round. And of course, in severe winters, you get snow up in here. This will be covered in snow. That's a lovely old bit of history in the bush, I think. The Wishing Well, 1848. Well, I'm now in the southern Highlands in New South Wales. I came through a bit of rain back there, but the weather's starting to break up and it's warming up. I'm heading down towards Yass and then down to Albury, where there's a couple of historic sites down there. I'd like to do a bit of detecting, and we'll see what we can find down in that area of New South Wales. This area here is quite old though, because this dates from the early 1820s into the 1830s when first settlement came through here, so a lot of old historic areas around here. I've just put up at a roadside rest area for a bit of a break, and being spring, the wattle's in bloom. The hills all around here are just covered in yellow. They're beautiful wattle flowers. Fantastic. Really good facilities, these roadside rest areas. It's like the truck parking where the truckies can have a bit of a break and sleep. And toilet and picnic facilities for families. And a timely warning here on the footpath. Beware of snakes. I'll just stop for a bit of lunch and a drink at this little rest area on the Hume Highway heading south. I'll spend about 20 minutes here and have a bit of a break, and we'll keep going. Okay, well, I've journeyed a long way from Queensland now. I've been on the road for a week, and I've covered about 2,500 kilometres, and now I'm on the border of New South Wales and Victoria on the beautiful Murray River, one of Australia's largest river system with the Darling. An enormous water flow down through here. It drains the snowy mountains, and it was a very important line of commerce in the mid-1800s. And the spot where I am now is quite an historic spot. This is known as Union Bridge, and so called because it united the two colonies of New South Wales and Victoria. It was one of the first bridges on the Murray, built in 1860. The actual stumps of the old bridge can still be visible when the water level is quite low. It was an old timber bridge, just slightly upstream of where we are now. It's been replaced by a modern bridge long ago. So I'm going to, as you can see, the banks are fairly hard going. I could actually go in there with the AT Pro, but there's quite a flow on that Murray there. I wouldn't want to get out there, you wouldn't want to swim in it. It'd take you away pretty quick. I want to go back up behind us here in the belief that there's been nearly 200 years actually of activity in this area, so there'll be some modern rubbish in there, of course, because layers of deposition from 1840, 1850 right through to the present day. But I'll listen for the little whispers, and I'll try to cherry pick the old signals, the little deep whispers, the old coins out of the parkland behind me. Hopefully we'll get some old pre-decimals today, and I'll be back shortly with the first find. This area here you can see has been recently cleaned up, probably by the council. Just a leaf litter and a bit of deadfall, not grass. So I don't like digging in grassed areas on these parks because they're well used by the public, and I'm not confident that the plugs go unnoticed. So I'm just going to stay in this area here where a little bit of disturbance of the leaf litter won't matter. We'll see what we can find. Well, as a result of my first 25 or 30 minutes here, I've got $1 and a 5 cent and a 10 cent. Okay, well this one was just a whisper on the proportional audio, and I got my first pre-decimal of the day. An old penny. That was about 8 inches down plus the leaf litter, so it was a good depth, 10 inches, but you get really high signals on an AT Pro on these old pennies because it's such a big piece of bronze. Yeah, it was only a whisper on the proportional audio at first, easy to walk past, but I swung back and there it was, repeatable. Looks to be a King George VI penny. I'll give it a clean and we'll get a date. Okay, there she is. It's an absolutely glorious 1951 Australian penny. The patina on that coin is just beautiful. It's obviously been well preserved here, no corrosion whatsoever. There's King George VI on the other side. What a ripper. I'll see if there's any other targets in this immediate vicinity. It might seem an obvious thing to say, but when you're looking for older coins and relics, they're generally deeper. That's not always the case because the earth may have been disturbed, but it makes it really easy with an AT Pro with the proportional audio in Pro mode. I'll give an example here. I've got a signal at 53, but it's very loud. So it's close to the coil, I can see that. But over here, have a listen to this. There. I've got a much fainter signal, much deeper. Jumps from 69 to 75. That'll steady up as I get closer to the target. That's more likely to be an older coin than this, which is quite shallow and quite loud. So I'm going to dig this target first and we'll see what we get out of this. Well, I just got a nice solid 75 signal at about 8 inches down. I think I've got another pre-decimal. Maybe a halfpenny. There you go. Still a little bit of soil with it there. Sounds about right for a halfpenny. Oh, it's an old Commonwealth halfpenny, nice one. Let's have a look at the date, see if we can see it there. 1917. What an absolute perler. No worries, lost 2 pre-decimals out of this small area. Well, this target was the weakest of signals from the surface, and it's in this unusually little bit of gravelly alluvial spot. Most of this stuff is a clayey sand. This is alluvial gravel here, and about 5 inches down under the leaf litter, I've got a little coin. I think it's silver. I'm going to suggest it's a little threepence, to be slightly bent. I'm pretty sure it's silver. Yep, silver. Australian sheaf of wheat threepence. Is it 43? If it's a 43, it's sterling silver. Yes, it is a sterling silver threepence. Look at that. That was a tiny, weak little target. Well, as the threepences always are, even though it's sterling silver, it's a very low conductive target because of the size of the coin. Well, that's nice. 3rd pre-decimal. I'm on a really deep dig here. I'm about 8 inches down under an old tree root, so I'm pretty confident this won't be a modern bottle top. Could be quite an old coin. I've got a solid 77 from the surface, just a whisper. It's getting louder, but been about 10 minutes on this dig and I'm struggling under the tree roots, but I'll persist and we'll see what comes out of this hole. Well, I've got a nice deep target here in the leaf litter. It's a good 77. As you can hear, oh, it's up to 79. Quite a soft tone on the proportional audio, so it's deep. It's indicating 20 centimetres for a coin size object. Right around here. Oh, it's jumping 80. Yeah, this looks pretty good. We'll dig this one. I'll be back shortly with what we get out of this. Well, here's a target. I was hoping for some Victoriana, but it's a 1 cent coin. Quite deep and a small target. That's why the whisper on the proportional audio. Nice. Well, this was a real difficult recovery. I'm right on the banks of the Murray. I've got a solid 78 to 80. A little bit jumpy. Good 10 inches in this beautiful Murray River loam. It's out here now. Got no idea what it is. Let's see. Looks like it's a fishing sinker. Boy, that was a long way down. It's only a modern sinker. What a bummer. Well, I'd be hard pressed to find a more idyllic detecting spot. It's just beautiful down here on the river. Like I said earlier, I'm amazed at the flow of the Murray. It must be quite a gradient as it passes through this area because it's really surging in the centre there. Well, I haven't finished detecting yet. I'm going to do another half an hour or so, but I thought I'd have a look at what we've got so far. As you can see, I'm getting modern decimal coins, 50s and 1s and a 20 and a 5. I don't normally dig those coins because they're such low tone, especially the 5 and the 10. They're just Cupro nickel. 1s are up high, but the rest of them are only, down in the 50s. Some nice pre-decimals in beautiful condition in this Murray River silk. 1951 penny, the 1917 Calcutta mint Australian halfpenny. That's in glorious condition. It's got an India mint mark, which is Calcutta. We didn't mint any halfpennies in Australia till 1919. They're all minted in India. And a little piece of silver, 1943 sterling silver threepence. I didn't see the mint mark on that, but it'll be either Melbourne, San Francisco or Denver, as it's a wartime coin. I've dug a couple of fishing sinkers. I was really hoping for a bit of old Victorian coinage here, and it'll be here, but it'll be deep and it'll be under all the roots, but I'm going to persist. I did this in 2 sessions, a bit in the morning and then back in the afternoon. The sun's getting a bit low on the horizon now, but I'll do another half an hour, and if we get any more finds, I'll show them to you. Well, I left the Riverina area of New South Wales down in the Murray. I'm now heading back up north to Canberra and up through the mountains through Cooma and then back down to the south coast. So we'll have a look at a few historic sites on the way and hopefully get a bit of detecting done. Back shortly. I haven't been down through this area of New South Wales, which is my home state, for quite a few years. So I just forgot how really beautiful this country is. It's been topped up with a bit of good late winter rainfall. It's spring now, and the hills just glorious. The sheep and the cattle prices are all good. The farmers are pretty happy. It just looks a picture. It's just beautiful country, fantastic area. Well, I'm a long way south now. I'm up in the Snowy Mountains at 1100 metres altitude. It's only 5 degrees today and overcast. There was a threat of snow earlier on in the week down to 800 metres, but none's fallen here. Back on my favourite theme, abandoned railway lines. I love looking at these old infrastructure. There's some beautiful old stations on this line. There's some incredible bits of civil engineering, big timber trestles with ballasted decks. I like following these old lines because they do lead you to some good spots. Don't forget there's construction camps. Of course, there's the old railway stations. There's a lot of activity 100 years ago when these were the only means of transportation in the area that was reliable and it was available all year round was the railways. And so many people use the railways at these choke points, which are basically the railway stations. You had the construction camps. You had little whistle stops where there's no station as such, but just a timber or earth platform. You can research those sort of places. You can get some really good relics and coins from the mid-1800s into the early 1900s, because it wasn't until really around World War II that the road network was sealed everywhere and it was reliable enough for the railways to start to fade and lose their importance. But check out these old railways. One thing always to remember, many of them now, of course, are on private property. They're not gazetted lines anymore, and you would have to ask landowners permission to get into spots to do any coin and relic hunting. But anyway, it's something to think about, something to research. Find that little old whistle stop where a lot of people would have gathered. They had railway picnics, all sorts of things went along around the railway, so check it out. I'm near the end of my journey now. I thought I might spend a couple of hours here this afternoon riverside detecting. I quite enjoy these environments. I can't do it my way in Queensland because of the crocodiles, but there's no fear of crocodiles here. This is close to a very old township here, and possibly has been utilised as the local swimming hole. I'm sure the kids are down here in the summer. The beach isn't too far away, but this is just a beautiful spot to have a bit of a swim in this lovely cool fresh water. So we'll spend a couple of hours along the banks here and see what we can pick up. Well, my suspicions have proved correct. My very first target is a $2 coin, only a couple of inches down in the riverside sand there. There's QE2 smiling away at me. $2. Nice. Be good if I could get some old pre-decimals, but I guess they'd be pretty deep along here with all the floods that come down over the last 100 years or so. Well, I just got my second coin under this old coolabah tree. No, it's a modern 10 cent, as you can see. But there's always a chance of an old pre-decimal and even older Victorian coins and bottles too, of course. It was near the town dump, so back in the 1800s. Bottles all would have gone down in the river. Well, I've come to the end of my journey now. I've travelled over 3,500 kilometres through my home state of New South Wales, so I've really enjoyed this trip. I've seen some fantastic scenery, some beautiful old historic sites on the way. Did a little bit of metal detecting, not as much as I would have liked to, but we found a couple of coins down there and on the river, on the Murray, and I've got a couple of coins here too, no old stuff, but you never know what you're going to find on these places. Just beautiful being out here today. It's absolutely magnificent scenery, and like I said, I'm not used to this riverside detecting because up my way in Queensland, the big lizards in the river don't let you get near the river. So this is quite safe here. It's just a beautiful spot. I might just amble on until dark and see if I can find something else, but anyway, thanks for joining me within that big road trip of 3,500 K. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Happy fossicking. Bye for now.